Okay, hello. So it's obviously very dark out, and it's a little bit after midnight. It's almost 1 in the morning, and I had taken a nap. I guess I was able to take a nap throughout all of the nonsense and chaos in the house, and I'm taking a walk right now, forcing myself to kind of make this video here so that I can feel like I'm being productive, you know what I mean? I don't know exactly when I'll post this, but most likely by the time I post this, there will already have been a video posted where I talked about like my savings account and stuff like that. And the reason why I took a nap, one of the reasons why I had myself take a nap is because I made a lot of money today, or yesterday I guess, and I've been really trying my best to like save the money I've been making, save a good portion of it, because I've still been smoking marijuana and nothing else. I've still been smoking, and even in the smallest amount, it still takes up a significant portion. Like, it adds up, like, even if it was like $2 a pack, like, it still adds up, and I'm starting to really understand that it's a lot better to try and work with a bad habit than just trying to get rid of it altogether. That, like, I think that takes a lot more effort and willpower, so that's kind of what I've been doing for the most part. And I don't know, it's a slow incline, I guess. I hit my goal for last week just now, like today. And I'm not going to say exact numbers, but like there was a specific number that I was reaching for last week, and I just kind of hit that number today. Now, technically I already hit that number because I had made money from like TikTok. And the way that TikTok works is that, like, if it's through gifts, which is how most of the money was made, well, not most of it, but how a specific portion of it was made. And so, like, I had to wait. I'm still kind of waiting. Like, it's now Wednesday. It's Wednesday morning. It's like Wednesday, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know. There's different platforms that I make money from. So like, I've noticed the differences in like all of them. And like with TikTok, it's really weird because like it will consider it the next day, like now, but like it won't go through until like 3 in the morning, and then even then it won't actually go through physically until like 5 in the morning, sometimes later. And that's only a huge issue when I'm waiting for the money to do something with it, and it's just like, okay, well, it's the next day now, so I don't understand, you know what I mean? Because everyone else, it's like, oh, well, it's midnight now, so now, you know what I mean? Like, most of the platforms are like that. But I don't know, we're just talking about random details, I guess. Maybe it's just the human brain doing what the human brain does, but I think it's an interesting way to recognize like divine timing. Like, for me specifically, like in one of these moments where like I'm making a little bit more money than I had before, and I'm charging a lot less than I was before, you know what I mean? Because right now I'm doing like a $2 sale thing, and it's funny because I feel like I've thought about doing different things like this before, but now that I'm actually implementing it, it's like, okay, well, this works really well. It's really weird that I hadn't thought of this before, and to some degree, it's kind of like, well, maybe I wasn't ready for this sort of level of flow before, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I try to be real with myself quite often, maybe like every other day or whatever, I'm like having a serious conversation with myself, and like, of course, a lot of the time, the serious conversation is around my addiction or around my habits and, you know, stuff like that. So once again, I feel like for the most part I'm doing really well. Part of this is like a personal update for myself to be like, hey, I'm doing really good. Slowly but surely, we're getting to our goals. And I'm super thankful for that. And if you're on, well, this is YouTube. I'm like, if you're on YouTube, if you're watching this, most likely you're on YouTube. And if you have subscribed recently, or if you've been subscribed for a while, I thank you, you know. Gratitude is the fucking attitude, bro. And I don't know, I guess, even with all that I am going through, I guess the one thing I could be thankful for is that I'm not on fucking meth anymore, because that shit is something else, man. Like, I think there's a lot of drugs to get hooked on. There's a lot of things to get hooked on, and I think one of the least prettiest things is meth. Like, it's not a pretty drug. I remember somebody once told me that I was too pretty to be doing meth, and that kind of helped me to stop for a little bit. Like, I genuinely stopped because I was like, you know what, true. So I stopped smoking for a while. But then I went back. So at the time of recording this, I'm supposed to be eventually recording a tarot reading for one of my Patreon members, and I don't know, this is just one of those moments where I'm going to get a little bit transparent, and hopefully it's not just in vain, but originally I thought I was going to just do a general reading for them, but then they told me that they wanted to do a romantic reading, and the card that came out, the energy that came out, it makes sense for the type of reading that I'm going to be doing for them, but like, before they told me what they wanted me to focus on, the energy that came out was working through your fears. And when they told me what it was about, I was able to translate that information and be like, oh, okay, so this is about love. Okay. All right. So we're working through the fear of, you know, what it means to be single and what it means to be, you know, independent and all that jazz. Okay. Sure. Awesome. But for me, because a lot of times when I do readings, there's, not all the time, but most of the time, there is something valuable for me within the reading, you know what I mean? And as a good reader, I think you have to kind of be able to take what you're dishing out, you know what I mean? I don't think, like, you should be able to take your own advice. And if you're not going to take your own advice, you should at least be aware enough to recognize that the things that you're saying could also be helpful to you, you know? But that's just opinion. Who am I to tell you whether or not you're a good reader? You know what I mean? But I think that's one indicator of a good reader, like whether or not you can recognize your own advice as good advice, you know? Because a lot of people give advice, but then they never take that same advice, you know? So that's something to be mindful of. But yeah, the transparency part. There is a tiny bit of a thing that I've been kind of afraid of, and I've kind of broken through the fear. Like, I've done the thing that I was afraid of before, and there's a phrase that I heard that I do like that says, do the thing that you're afraid of and you won't actually have to do it, or something like that. And it's like, whatever you're afraid of, if you actually push yourself to do it, you'll find in the long run that it's not something that you necessarily had to do. It's just something you had to do to break through the fear, you know what I mean? Because fear is generally not something to live by, you know? It's 1 a.m. I could be terrified of walking outside by myself, but I don't believe in living by fear, you know what I mean? But that being said, once again, just to be transparent, I feel like I was evading the transparency part. With the social media stuff that I do with like TikTok streams and all that stuff, there's this fear of like collaborating with others, working with others, being creative with others that I kind of cling on to, and occasionally it comes up. I got the Moonology deck again, so there's a card within that deck that says work through your fears, new moon of Scorpio, and there's often with whatever sort of divination deck that you have, I think there's always at least one card in a deck where it's like, fuck, I hate this card, because you know that it has a lot of significance for you. Like, for me, it's not a huge deal, but I imagine for some people, the have faith in your dreams card would probably be a nuisance. Like, what do you mean? You want me to believe in my dreams? What do you mean? And I imagine somebody probably hate the Aquarius card that says, like, show the world the real you. I feel like people are like, dread that card. They're like, fuck, I have to be my real self. Fuck, I hate this shit. And it's kind of funny to think about, like, how we all just have that energy of, like, I know that this is for me, but I fucking hate it. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think the crazy thing, it's just because I'm so hard on myself. You know what I mean? Like, I have a lot of Virgo in my chart. I'm very hard on myself. I'm very, like, critical of myself. And so, sorry, I'm walking past a school and I'm like hearing sounds. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Trying to be vigilant. What was I about to say? But yeah, I don't know. I've like done this thing before. I just happen to be very hard on myself, and I happen to know intuitively that, like, if I were to lean into collaboration, if I were to lean into working with others, it definitely would be super helpful for not just me, but, like, you know, others that I would potentially be able to reach, and, like, et cetera, you know? And I think it sucks. You know, we all have flaws. We all have things to work through. You know, that's not debatable. But I think it sucks because sometimes the smartest of us can know exactly what the issue is and know exactly what we need to do, but that doesn't make it easier to do. You know, I think a lot of things are easier said than done. It's like, oh yeah, you need to stop drinking, but actually doing that is another thing, you know? A whole mental fucking battle, you know what I mean? Because then I think a lot of people consider, because like, oh, I did it, so that means like anybody should just be able to do it just like that. And it's like, that's true to some degree, but it's like, you never know what kind of limitations somebody else is dealing with. You never know what kind of internal battle somebody is dealing with, you know? And to some degree, I mean, you don't have to, but you should hold compassion for other people when you don't fully understand their personal experience, you know? Because we all have our own limitations, we all have our own issues and shit like that, you know? So, something to consider, I guess. And I don't know, one thing about it, when it comes to any sort of like habit that you're trying to break, it is going to take conscious effort. Like, you're going to have to actively reroute, you know? You're going to have to actively choose things to like distract yourself and shit like that. And it really does become like a full-time job. And thankfully, for me, oh my god, a kitty, hello kitty. I have a lot of things that I'm like focused on and like want to do, you know what I mean? Just generally. So I have a lot of things to keep me busy, but you know, there are also a lot of people who don't necessarily have that sort of mindset, who don't have that sort of goal-oriented process, you know? And I imagine for those folks, it's a lot more difficult, you know, because a lot more free time, a lot more time and energy to do things, you know. And like, cause like even when I was homeless, when I was like doing meth and shit like that, like I still had a lot of shit to do. Like I always had something to do. It wasn't like I was bored, you know, but I was already doing it, so like it became more of a social thing at points. Like I did do it solitarily quite often, but it was also like a social thing. It was also like, well, let's hang out and let's exchange energy and also get swifty, you know. And I don't know, it just was really out of hand. I've talked about this before. If you go to the link tree down below, there's like it should be an ebook present, and actually eventually that ebook that is there won't be there anymore, and it'll be replaced because I recently had the idea to, hopefully by the time I post this, it is in effect, so that I can show it and not just talk about it. But like, I thought to reinstate my Amazon account and like upload it there, and then I could actually have a physical copy, and it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot more of a hassle because I don't know, the publishing platform that I was using is low-key kind of trash, but at the same time not really. Maybe I'm just trash because I didn't choose to pay for the full publishing price. I don't know, but I don't know what the numbers will look like for this. I guess to some degree I use this as like a diary, but like at the same time I have to hope that it's like helpful for whoever sees it, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, I've almost taken a full circle. I'm about to go buy some marijuana, and then I'm about to go back to the house, maybe do some work stuff, maybe do some writing stuff, I don't know, who knows. And then yeah, then we're gonna cruise. And I don't know when you'll watch this, I don't know when you'll see this, but I hope miracles happen all the freaking time. Hope Jesus does love you. Whatever you're going through is temporary, and you should try to keep your head up, because why the fuck not, right? Anyways, in transition, I'm out. Bye.